Okay, I'm back today to sharpen my 40-tooth blade. I had tried this one before, but wasn't successful because I had forgot about moving the motor back and forth to get the proper adjustment. So I just finished up my 50-tooth blade. I'm now going to do a 40-tooth blade. So basically when you're changing from one setup to the other, first thing you do, of course, your ratchet won't be anywhere near in the right place. So the best thing I like to do for that is to go ahead and just move it all the way back out of the way. You're not going to need it for a little bit. So go ahead and install your blade that you're going to work with. Tighten it down pretty good so you've got a nice solid blade there. And then go ahead and you're going to need to start making your adjustments. So of course, for your previous blade, you've already had this tightened down. So go ahead and loosen your arm back up. You can come in and try to see if it's going to work with where the last blade was set up. But here is a very good example. The 40-tooth blade is just completely a different layout than the other blades. My 20-tooth and my 50-tooth, I didn't get anywhere near the blade trying to get to the nut over here, so you can tell that I don't have enough play here to get this set up properly. So what's going to happen is the motor is going to have to slide further to the right so that I can end up coming over here and getting the right angle to come in with the tooth and the grinder to give me the right angle. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, as I mentioned in my previous video doing my first 50-tooth saw blade, you can see here I've got an extended handle. This is a 9-inch Allen wrench with a T-handle, and that works really well for getting down and loosening up the motor mounts. You can simply reach down in there, get the two front ones very easily. You can reach back and get the left back one, loosen it up, and this won't get to the right rear one. But I did go ahead and loosen it with a shorter Allen wrench that they provide. So now that those are all loosened, now you can simply slide this motor over where you need. So at the same time of sliding that motor over, I'm going to go ahead and it looks like it's going to need a pretty good slide there. I'm going to go ahead and slide it over and start to get a sense of where I can come in with a straight. Okay, so now that I have the angle and everything set up, I can just check real quick here. And you know, it's coming in nice and easy there. We'll go ahead and set that there. I've come over and set the collar, tighten it up. I've got that in the right place for the depth so it stops. So now that's going to come in. Let me take and check that first tooth there. So I think the best thing to do now is to go ahead and just give it a shot here. Go ahead, I'll fire it up, I'll do one tooth and make sure it's right, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try that first tooth. I've got everything set to where I believe it's pretty good. So let's give this first and one tooth a try. If that's good, then we'll stop and I'll adjust the ratchet arm at that point in time. Lesson learned from the past. It says close quarters here with being so close to the very little gully there, so go ahead and stop that and take a look at that tooth. It's a little bit harder to see it with this angle, but I do believe that looks pretty good there. Okay, I took the blade off, took a look at it. I didn't quite like the look of that one. It was just missing the very tip, so there's my first try there. So now this is going to be the second try. So I'm going to go ahead and grind this one, take a look at it, make sure that it's the right angle and everything set up properly. And then if that's the case, then we'll go ahead and set the ratchet and move on from there. So let me try this one. I want to make sure I really get this right. There's some little bit better lighting there. So let's go ahead, I'll give this one a shot and we'll see what happens. Like I said there, that's really close quarters. Any movement you possibly are sharpening the side you don't even want to touch. So A little closer there, but looking at that one there, that one's looking pretty good. It was the one before, it was that tooth there that I didn't quite like the angle, but the angle on that one does look better. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the ratchet now. Okay, now that I'm about to set up the ratchet for this, I just like to make sure that the blade, the fresh one that I just tried, I take and line it back up with the blade. And then what I like to do is just go ahead and just tighten this blade down as tight as I can get it. That's just going to keep that blade from moving while I'm trying to set the ratchet in the gully. I've just learned that this really makes that next part a lot easier. So just go ahead and torque this thing down all the way. It's just going to do a nice compression on that blade, and then it's going to hold that blade in place. So now, yeah, you really shouldn't even be able to, you can't even turn the blade anymore, but you have it right up against the blade, the cutting blade, and you have it right up against that. Just tighten this thing really tight and then leave it at that. Now you can come over and work with the ratchet to get it into the right place. Okay, what I'm going to work on now is this ratchet to see the best place to put it for these. This 40 tooth is a little more challenging than the others, but let's see if that will possibly work right there. Not much to work with, but we've got the blade locked down nicely. So I can just now, you can see that I'm walking this in to catch what we have there. I think that's probably going to be the best one. We could try to come over here. I tell you what, I may go ahead and try this one over here a little bit further out to see if that'll give us what we need. So just kind of get it in place, give it a little bit of pressure there, and then go ahead, once you have it where you believe you need it, go ahead and tighten it down at the base. Get that good and tight, and then even from overhead, just check to see if that's what you want. And this one looks like that's probably going to do it. So now that you have the bracket at the bottom as tight as possible, get that good and tight. Now you can back off the grinding blade, and of course you're going to have to loosen the blade back up so you can test it. So there we can test it and then check to see if we're coming back in. That could be a little bit too tight there. Yeah, I think we're going to have to back off just a little bit on that. It's pushing over too far and not having much space here in the gully. That's going to give us a little bit of a problem. So let me back off that just a little bit. I'll just put that back in place and go ahead and tighten the blade back down snug. And then take and just readjust. You may have to do this a few times. I've noticed that on all of them. You just got to kind of keep working it until you really get it where you want it. I'm going to loosen this back up a little bit. Make sure I got the blade back in a good location. And then just try to come back here and try this again. This time I may not put as much pressure on it the first time. And then we'll just tighten this back down. Make sure it's good and snug. It looks like a good fit there, so then once again I'll just have to loosen back up the blade so that then I can take and spin the blade a little bit. Now I've got the blade loosened up, pull the motor back, and then check again. And that one's looking like it may do pretty good there. I think I'll have to keep an eye on this ratchet for this 40 tooth because I think it's going to try to catch in the wrong place. So I'll just have to make sure I don't go too far past on this one. But I'm thinking we're pretty good there. Okay, I've got the ratchet set in place. I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot here. We're starting with tooth 0 here and go around and see how this one works out this time. And that's a nice clean cut. A little close there. This one's going to take a little more care. So this is just so close, it's hard to get exactly in there for this one. So for this one, I'm just walking a little bit slower. It's also trying to really catch the blade itself. Okay, I did get around all 40 of those teeth. That one wasn't as much fun as the other ones. A little more challenging there with a very small gully and the angle to which that is. It probably helped too on this tool if I would possibly go back and loosen up that mechanism. This thing's got a little bit of pressure to it, so by the time you try to pull this in and do a quick stop, it's kind of hard there. So I think I'll go back in that adjustment underneath. I think I may loosen it back up so that this thing moves a little smoother. In the other cases, for the 20 tooth and the 50 tooth blade, that wasn't a problem. But here in very close quarters, you would want this action to be really smooth and simple. But I think overall, this 40 tooth blade looks pretty good here. So I think we're good to go. So we'll wrap this one up. And the next blade up will be my 60 tooth blade. Thank you.